So now we wear clothes to cover the body that the God created?
Yes, because all things point to Jesus Christ, and even the clothes we wear point to the necessity of our shame needing to be covered, the shame that comes from the guilt of our sin.
So in the beginning, there were just two naked people?
Yes, in fact, nakedness and clothing is a very important theme that is woven, no pun intended, all throughout the scriptures. And it has to do with sin and shame and righteousness and forgiveness and restoration to fellowship with God. But that's for another time, maybe.
Wait, and the God is all-knowing?
Yes, he's all-knowing, but more than that, he's the source of all that can be known. That's an important distinction to understand in this particular attribute, because I got a feeling you're going to misapply the implications of this attribute of God.
So he did or he didn't know that they were going to eat from the tree that he told them not to eat from, that he put there?
Yes, he intentionally placed this tree of the knowledge of good and evil in order to inform and instruct Adam. See, here's the dilemma with God creating a sentient being that has independent will. Once that being has the knowledge of good and evil, that sentient being will choose evil, and that evil separates him from the goodness of God. See, God created Adam in perfect goodness, and goodness is all that Adam knew. But as soon as Adam was exposed to the knowledge of good and evil, he will choose the evil and fall into sin.
Because he didn't want them to have knowledge?
God wasn't withholding knowledge from Adam. In fact, Adam had an incredible capacity to knowledge. Did you know that before he fell into sin, by partaking of the tree of knowledge and good and evil, that he named every animal that God brought to him, and God didn't tell him what to name them. The capacity to have the knowledge to come up with the names was innate to the nature that God put into Adam. Adam had the creative ability and the know-how to come up with those names. So it wasn't knowledge that God was keeping from Adam. In fact, knowledge was exactly what God was giving to Adam when he instructed him in what would take place if he partook of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. He would die. That's knowledge. That's now withholding knowledge. Now, Satan tempted Eve and she was deceived because he twisted God's word and he made implications and inferences that God never implied, just like you're doing. You're actually repeating the same lie that was told to Eve. So either you're intentionally twisting God's words or you're just replaying what happened to Eve. Unfortunately, I think it's the second part.